We're back for another episode of Mac Stories Unwind, the show that's all about the picks. Federico Vitici, happy Friday to you.
Happy Friday to you as well. How are you?
I'm doing really well. It's been a fun week. I mean, we had an Apple event. It's been a long time since we've had one of those, which always keeps us busy and gives us all sorts of new things to talk about. But we're not going to talk about those things today. We're not going to talk about them here, at least. We are going to talk about those on App Stories, which comes out on Monday and has a long discussion about the iPad Air as well as the new Mac Studio and Apple's Studio Display. So check that out if you're interested in that. Today, we're going to do our picks, so you have something to do this weekend. I'm going to let Federico kick it off with a TV show.
Well, before I get to the TV show, something that I want to quickly mention, call this, how would you call a segment of a podcast at the beginning that wants to touch upon something you previously mentioned, but it's not the main topic? Like, is there a name for it? Like a post-intro?
Post-intro, maybe. Pre-topic. We could coin the term, I think.
Circle back. Like, how would you? I don't know. We'll find a name for it, I'm sure. I wanted to share that as of a few minutes ago, Microsoft just rolled out the March update for the Xbox console. And there's a few things that I would like to point out here. There is a new pin to quick resume function that presumably, it lets you pin specific games to the quick resume list.
Oh, that's nice.
So quick resume is I think, the best feature of the Series X, and having faster access to games that you can resume at any moment is incredible. So that's going to be cool. There are some audio updates. So there's a new audio setup guided flow, whether you want to use stereo audio or 5.1 surround or 7.1 surround or Dolby Digital. There's a new walkthrough that you can follow in settings to properly set up your audio equipment with your Xbox console. And lastly, there's also a new firmware update for the Xbox controller. So whether you use the Xbox One controller or the Elite Series 2 wireless controller, make sure to update the firmware. You can do so on the Xbox console itself, or you can do so on PC using the Xbox Accessories app by plugging in the controller via USB-C. So I know that specifically for the Elite, for those who have the Elite 2 controller, which I do, it was impossible to update on PC before. I've been trying with my AI Neo to plug in and update the controller before, so hopefully this is fixed now. We'll see. Anyway, new Xbox update. So if you want to play on Xbox this weekend, make sure to run this series of updates on your console and on your controller. That said, so that was the circling back to...
Okay, good job. I'm glad to hear that they're still updating the software and adding new interesting features.
Yeah.
That's nice.
So my pick for Unwind this week is a TV show. It's a new comedy series that we have started as of a few days ago. We are up to episode 6 or 7 of the first season. So we are new to this. It's AP Bio. So AP Bio, we started watching this because, one, we were looking for a new comedy series. Just the kind of TV show that you can watch very easily, low effort TV show before bed. Like you put on something, a comedy or like a sitcom that, puts you to sleep in a good mood, essentially. Nothing that involves like a complex story or,
something to stress
dialogues.
you out.
Exactly. Something easy, something fun for the laughs. So AP Bio, I saw on Italian TV a couple of years ago, and I never really paid attention to it. There's this channel 6 in Italy, that in the afternoon they do, TV shows, usually from the US. Like for years, they ran Big Bang Theory in the afternoon, and they picked up AP Bio a couple of years ago. Never really paid attention, also because I cannot watch translated TV shows with Italian voiceover, because I keep seeing the English words in the actors, faces.
Oh,
like
yeah, you're reading their
saying.
lips, yeah.
I am, and it totally bothers me. But I also heard Jason Snell mention AP Bio a bunch of times before on Upgrade. So when I was looking through the iTunes store a few days ago, I ran into AP Bio and I thought, oh, that's the thing that I saw on TV some time ago and that Jason also mentioned. So we give it a try and we are liking it so far. So AP Bio started on NBC in 2018, moved to Peacock later, I believe in late 2019 or 2020, moved to Peacock, and it was canceled after season 4. So there's 4 seasons of AP Bio. However, I don't have Peacock personally, so we are, you know me, like an old person that I am for this stuff, I am purchasing episodes individually on the iTunes store. And I guess I'll get the season pass because now it's been a few episodes and we like it, so we want to finish the show. So I'm purchasing episodes on iTunes. If you don't have access to Peacock where you live, make sure to check the iTunes store. So the show covers it's sort of like about the everyday lives of the faculty members and the students of this fictional Whitlock High School in Toledo, Ohio. And the main character, as of the few episodes in season 1 that we have seen, is Jack Griffin, played by Glenn Howerton. You may know him from his lead role in Always Sunny in Philadelphia. And so Jack Griffin is a philosophy professor who lost his tenure at Harvard University. Has to return to his hometown of Toledo, Ohio, to find a job. And so in his, strapped for cash state, he decides to live at his dead mom's apartment and picks up teaching again, however, at a much, much lower tier. He picks up teaching advanced placement biology. So not something totally unrelated to what he was doing before at Harvard University. Not philosophy, but advanced placement biology. So from the first episode, Jack makes it clear to this classroom that he doesn't care about teaching them biology. He doesn't want to do it. He says, you're just going to do your thing, you stay quiet, throw away the books. I'm going to give you an A, just don't bother me because we're not going to do biology here. He doesn't care. He just wants to sit there, waste time, and get some money from the high school. But the thing is, all these kids in his class, in his AP Bio class, are honor roll students that really want to study biology because they really care about, actual knowledge. And so right from the first few minutes of the first episode, there's this funny contrast that is created that sort of appends your expectations because it's usually the students who don't want to study, who don't want to do their homework, and it's the teacher forcing them to do so. Here, the roles are reversed. You have the students that really want to study, and this professor turned high school teacher that really doesn't want to do his job. And so that's a funny contrast, a sort of funny gimmick right away from the first few minutes. The principal of the high school, Principal Durbin, played by Patton Oswalt, struggles to keep Jack under control because, Durbin wants to assess his authority. He wants to show off that he's still in charge of high school. He's the principal. He calls the shots around there, but he really doesn't. And again, there's also that funny contrast. It's very, one of my favorite parts is the relationship between Durbin and Jack and the contrast and how Durbin tries to keep Jack under control but ultimately fails. And lastly, the other aspect of the story that I want to mention is that Jack realizes that he can leverage the kids as part of his plan. His plan being to enact revenge against his Harvard rival, another philosophy professor named Miles Leonard, that presumably got his job after he was fired from Harvard and is also a best-selling published author. And so Jack wants to destroy his Harvard rival Miles, and he enlists the students not to study biology, but to come up with these wild plans to sort of destroy the reputation and honor of his rival, Miles Leonard. So it's a really fun show. It's a comedy series. Episodes are 20, 25 minutes long. I love it because it's, the Jack is kind of evil sometimes. And, he's sort of like this anti-hero. at least in the first few episodes. I think I've read pretty much everywhere on the internet that the first season was not so well received, but that it does get so much better in the later seasons. And I also believe that's what Jason said on Upgrade. So we're going to keep watching. We're going to see how it goes.
That sounds great. I think I watched the pilot of this perhaps. And like you, I first heard about it from Jason as well. And the only thing that's really kept me from watching is that it is on Peacock now. And that's a service that I haven't subscribed to. I do have this habit of kind of jumping into services and jumping out of them, though, from time to time and binging things that are on them. So this might be a good reason to do that. All right, Federico, I want to talk about an album. And this is far and away my favorite album of the year so far. I know I said I also recommended another album recently from Spoon that's very, very good. But this, I'll give it the edge over the Spoon album, which is House by the Shout Out Louds. And this album is so good front to back. It's rare for me.
We can say friend of Federico, Shout Out Louds.
We can. If you have ever read I Made You a Mixtape, which is one of my favorite stories that you've ever written, Federico. I actually return to it and read it every now and then over time. But there's a photo in there of Federico with the band as part of the story.
With the singer of the with the band. No, I think with the singer of the band.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. I had forgot. It's funny that when you told me about you suggested the closing track on this to me and said you thought I'd like it. I had forgotten that this was the band from that article because I hadn't read it in a while and I didn't realize that was the case. But in any event, first of all, go read Federico's story. It's on Mac Stories. But listen to this album. It's 8 tracks, 33 minutes, incredibly tight, short album. It's an album that absolutely leaves you wanting more. I started looking around in Apple Music thinking, oh, maybe they did some B-sides, maybe they did some other things around this. Nope, not yet. Hopefully, it's only been out a few weeks, so my fingers are crossed that we'll actually get a little bit more material here out of it from the production of this album. But it is amazing. Usually when I listen to an album, maybe I will, love 1, 2, maybe even 3 songs. This one, I got a screenshot in our notes. I think, let's see, I've got 5 out of the 8 tracks I've got loved right now. I like this whole album all the way through. And it's got a very kind of 80s alternative vibe to it, especially right from the get-go. The very first song, which is called As Far Away as Possible, has a real big Cure vibe going on, right?
Yes.
It could, but for the fact that you're not listening to Robert Smith's voice, you could easily mistake this for a Cure song. It's got that kind of jangly guitars, that semi-emo, melancholy kind of feel to it. Very kind of a low-key song starting things off. But the album really picks up from there. I mean, there's another couple of tracks that I really like a lot are Mixed Up and My Comparison, which are definitely more faster-paced, up-tempo songs. And then Sky and I, Heimlin, that has female vocals in the lead, which is a nice way to mix up the album right in the center of it. And then another, I like June a lot, which that one kind of returns the album to a more laid-back pace, which then the whole thing closes out with Sometimes, which is the song that you had recommended to me. And I really do love this song because it kind of bookends very nicely with the first track. It has that same very strong 80s vibe, but whereas the first song has kind of that moody, melancholy feel to it, the last one is very upbeat and positive. And so it kind of goes out on a really strong note at the very end of the album. And you know me, Federico, I'm more of a playlist and tell Siri to just play anything that I like kind of person. I don't listen to just whole albums a ton.
Yeah, you do that thing. I know.
I'm a modern young person, Federico. This is how kids like me listen to music these days.
Who had John saying "kids like me" on his bingo card for today's unwind? Not me.
Yes, it's true. No, me. No, me either. Really, but this album I have been listening to the whole album. In fact, I've been listening to it on repeat because it's so good. One of the things too, to me, and I think this is just the kind of the cycle of the music industry. January is always so slow in the music industry. Maybe it's because of the cycle of the award shows or whatnot, but it always feels like January is really slow. But it's picking up. There's a lot of good music out there. The Spoon album was the first one I discovered. This is the second one that I discovered. I've discovered a lot of other singles that I like, but in terms of albums, this is by far the best that I've listened to this year. All right, Federico, that's it for this week. You can find the two of us writing over at macstories.net. Don't forget to go read Federico's I Made You a Mixtape story. I love it. I'll put a link in the show notes. You can find Federico on Twitter and Instagram too as @Viticci. That's VITICCI. And I'm at John Voorhees. JOHNVOORHWS. Talk to you next Friday, Federico.
Ciao, John.